At 5:14, just before dawn reached Jefferson, Georgia, the silence tightened. Engines growled low in the dark. Then it hit. A flashbang exploded, ripping the calm apart as a shockwave thundered down the street. Smoke drifted as red and blue lights washed over rain-slick asphalt. Agents shouted commands that end every illusion of safety. Calm vanished. Control took over. Beneath it all lay a grim truth. Today's drugs no longer look deadly. They look bright, sweet, harmless, designed to lure children. And the result is a surge of sudden, unexpected overdoses, striking without warning.
Desirable by kids, and we're seeing a lot of issues with unexpected overdoses.
The emergence of these pills.
FBI. Hands up. Search warrant. The command cut through the darkness as sirens wailed in the distance, echoing down quiet streets. Lights snapped on. Doors opened. The neighborhood was awake, unaware it stood at the center of a war that crossed America's borders without headlines. This wasn't a routine arrest. This was cartel firepower crashing into a residential street. If you believe grenade launchers don't belong in American neighborhoods, like, comment, and subscribe, because what comes next will change how you see law enforcement and the fight unfolding right now. Within seconds, armored vehicles locked down both ends of the block. FBI SWAT units, ICE Homeland Security agents, and the DEA's Athens Task Force advanced in perfect synchronization. This was not a routine search. It was the opening strike of Operation Take Back America, a federal offensive targeting a transnational drug network that had quietly embedded itself inside Georgia's college towns. Inside the target house, agents uncovered far more than expected. Plastic-sealed bricks of cocaine and methamphetamine covered the kitchen table. Nearby, a tray of powdered fentanyl had spilled onto the floor, its lethal dust catching the beam of a flashlight. But the true shock waited in the shadows. An arsenal. 26 firearms in total, including 12 AR-style rifles, a dozen handguns, and beneath a workbench, hidden but ready, a military-grade grenade launcher.
Or in the garage or wherever, that particular area, and find this amount of drugs, especially fentanyl.
They found multiple types of...
This was no routine arrest. Behind those doors stood a paramilitary stronghold, disguised as a normal home. The air reeked of chemicals and gun oil. Blueprints lined the walls, mapping supply routes from Mexico into the heart of Georgia. Beside them were coded notes, names, numbers, payments. In that moment, agents understood this was not street crime. It was cartel warfare hiding in plain sight. For months, federal intelligence had followed fragments of the operation. Encrypted calls, suspicious wire transfers, financial trails linking Athens and Atlanta to foreign accounts. Now, it all connected. At the center was a man known as Chato, a 48-year-old Mexican national tied to the Sinaloa cartel. Prison hadn't stopped him. It sharpened him. After release, he rebuilt fast, using college rentals as stash houses and laundering cartel money through seemingly legitimate local businesses.
Massive drug bust at the port of Houston. Officials say they stopped more than 1,000 barrels of chemicals from China headed to Mexico's Sinaloa cartel.
Surveillance later revealed drivers swapping packages in parking lots just blocks from the University of Georgia. To neighbors, they looked like delivery men. To federal agents, they were couriers for a foreign criminal state, living for years among students and families without notice. What stunned investigators wasn't the money or weapons, it was the history. Several suspects had already served long sentences for major drug crimes, walked free, and returned to work. This time, they weren't small dealers. They were heavily armed repeat offenders, moving enough fentanyl to kill nearly 7 million people. How many other houses were still active remained unknown. By sunrise, 13 agencies launched 12 coordinated raids across Athens, Atlanta, and Jefferson. Doors fell within seconds. One house held ledgers tracking $900,000. Another still had burner phones buzzing with messages from Mexico.
That's why doctors are urging parents to put their kids on alert and never bring drugs like this into your home.
Inside Operation Take Back America. As the morning fog lifted, the scale of Operation Take Back America became clear. What started as a single raid had become a statewide siege. Convoys rolled down I-85 under federal escort, moving weapons, evidence, and detainees. Helicopters circled overhead. Inside the FBI command center in Athens, digital maps glowed red across 3 counties. Each mark was a target secured, or one about to fall. This wasn't a local drug case. It was the takedown of a transnational combat network.
The FBI and DEA together seized approximately 750,000 pills.
The $900K drug seizure and grenade launcher discovery. The seized pills told the story instantly. Each contained fentanyl, cocaine, or methamphetamine, but the structure behind them was far more dangerous. Built with military-like precision, every warehouse doubled as storage and distribution. Every suspect had a role: cook, courier, collector, guard. Encrypted messages revealed coordination levels closer to combat units than street gangs. What stunned even veteran agents was speed. Orders moved from Mexico to Georgia in minutes, not days. Someone inside the U.S. was relaying commands in real time. As evidence was processed, the scale became undeniable. 26 kilograms of cocaine worth roughly $780,000. 1.7 kilograms of fentanyl, enough for more than 850,000 lethal doses. 500 grams of methamphetamine, 140 grams of crack cocaine, over a kilogram of marijuana, and 128 counterfeit pharmaceuticals disguised as legitimate painkillers. Alongside the drugs were 26 firearms and a fully functional grenade launcher. Forensic technicians examined the launcher. Its serial number had been ground off, a clear sign of international weapons trafficking, possibly routed through Central America's black market arms trade. While local news called it a drug bust, investigators knew better. This was a logistics hub of a billion-dollar cartel empire, strategically positioned between Atlanta's transport corridors and the college streets of Athens. Every road in or out of Georgia could have carried the next shipment. Senior officials avoided politics. One federal director put it simply, "We're not policing neighborhoods anymore, we're defending them." That line defined the moment. This was domestic defense against foreign-run narcotics warfare. Financial investigators traced cartel money through shell companies tied to abandoned storefronts. In one case, a tire shop that hadn't sold a tire in 2 years was moving $63,000 in cash every week through a Chinese-linked underground banking system. The cartel wasn't just selling drugs. It was quietly embedding its profits into Georgia's local economy. DEA agents confirmed multiple links to known cartel intermediaries. Burner phones referenced coded phrases like the blue bag and summer heat, later identified as shipment and payment markers. The name was chillingly familiar. It matched the FBI's own operation subtitle, Project Summer Heat. If the cartel knew the task force name before the raid, how deep was the leak? Public shock turned into fear. In Athens, students woke to images of grenade launchers beside dorm furniture. Parents flooded campus hotlines, asking if classes were safe. Few had realized how close cartel violence had crept to lecture halls and cafes. By noon, 17 suspects were in custody, 12 taken in simultaneous raids, 5 more arrested after vehicle pursuits near Atlanta. Each faced potential life sentences. Several had already served time for trafficking and returned to the same war. One veteran agent said it quietly, "We're fighting the same soldiers twice." No one disagreed. The cartel connection. Sinaloa cartel in Georgia. A cartel satellite had been neutralized. Nearly $1 million in narcotics seized. Countless overdose deaths prevented, but the shadow remained. Intelligence showed the network stretched far beyond Georgia, feeding supply chains across the country. As dusk settled over Athens, armored transports rolled toward federal holding facilities. A sticker on one vehicle read, "Operation Take Back America Phase 1 complete." No one celebrated. They knew the pattern. When a cartel loses ground, it does not retreat. It regroups, sharper and deadlier. By the second night, analysts were already mapping new data pulled from seized phones and laptops, cryptocurrency wallets, offshore accounts, shell companies across California, Texas, and Georgia. The network wasn't shrinking, it was adapting. Then came the intercept. A brief encrypted message near the Georgia-Alabama line. Phase 2, shipment delayed. Heat, switch route south. It meant another convoy was moving. Within minutes, drones lifted off, roadblocks snapped into place, and tactical teams surged onto rural highways. Beneath tree cover, engines still warm, trucks waited. If they reached the interstate, the poison would disappear again into America's bloodstream. Agents moved first. The final strike and aftermath. Each driver wore night vision goggles, radios clipped tight to their shoulders. When the command word came, intercept authorized, headlights flared, engines roared, and the chase exploded into motion. The first truck surrendered almost immediately. The second tried to punch through the blockade. Tactical vehicles swarmed, boxed it in, and forced it to a halt. When agents breached the trailer, they found bricks of compressed powder wrapped in packaging identical to the load seized in Athens. Hidden compartments told the rest of the story. Unregistered firearms, and a half-disassembled M203 grenade launcher tube. Proof the cartel was not retreating, it was rearming. As arrests concluded, field teams pushed live data back to Athens headquarters. Analysts cross-checked seized phones against prior warrants. One number kept resurfacing under different aliases: Omar, Mechanic, Blue Light. The trail led through a prepaid international line straight to Culiacan, Sinaloa. Georgia was not an isolated outpost. It was a remote arm, answering directly to cartel command in Mexico. DEA intelligence added another layer: money laundering through cryptocurrency exchanges registered under U.S. shell corporations. Blockchain spikes matched shipment windows with chilling precision. Every digital pulse meant lives at risk. The battlefield had shifted, from rural highways to the invisible web, and the enemy was fluent in both. At 21:30 hours, Federal Command issued a silent directive. Full containment authorized. ICE cyber units froze 7 digital wallets holding more than $900,000 in cartel proceeds. DEA teams secured search orders on Atlanta-based accounts tied to Chinese underground banks. For the first time, the cartel's global financial artery was being cut. One account at a time. Pressure, however, invites response. That night, a sheriff's deputy reported drones hovering near an evidence facility in Jackson County. They vanished before interception. But analysts noticed the payload hooks, custom-built retrieval drones, designed to lift hard drives, documents, a message delivered without words: "We're still watching." By dawn, Operation Take Back America had transformed. What began as raids had become counterintelligence warfare, stretching across 5 states and 2 countries. Every encrypted text, every frozen transaction pointed to a shadow operation still in motion. Somewhere beyond the glowing maps, a replacement network was already standing by. Inside a warehouse-turned-command post, digital boards flashed red, green, clear. Target zone secured. Evidence tables overflowed. 26 kilograms of cocaine, 1.7 kilograms of fentanyl, methamphetamine, hundreds of counterfeit pills. Valuation exceeded $900,000. Agents didn't celebrate. Each package represented lives spared. An ICE commander studied the weapons list. 12 rifles, 14 handguns, 1 grenade launcher. "If that thing had fired," he said quietly, "we'd be counting bodies." Somewhere beyond another border, more were already being packed. This wasn't an ending. It was a pause. Overseas handlers had gone dark. Wallets frozen. Channels erased. But a new signal could appear at any hour. In a secure vault, 1 hard drive remained unopened. A fragment flickered on screen. Phase 3. New routes ready. When dawn broke again over Jefferson, the town felt still. Briefly. Then a helicopter thundered south. Another mission. Another line drawn. If this report matters to you, like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us. Thank you for watching. Because silence helps the cartels. Your voice helps the truth spread.